Oh no! Crap! Hello everyone, this is hashtag follow the conversation episode 22, and the music that I was going to start the show off with was not quite queued up. So we're just going to start the show now. My name is Michael Nip, as I think I just said. This is my co-host, Drewby.
Nice job, man. Nice job. Barely out of the gate.
I seriously had... Oh, wait, here it is. Hold on, I think I got it here.
Okay.
Taylor Swift's new album came out this week, man. 1989. It is really good. I've listened to it many a time. That's Welcome to New York. It's one of the singles she released.
I haven't listened to the album
But
yet.
it's really good. That's because you have to buy it. It's worth buying. Buy music if you like it. Don't steal it. It's bad.
I don't steal music.
No, I'm not saying you steal it, but I am recommending to the people out there that they don't steal music.
Recommending? Just
I am
lightly recommend.
It's against the law, just like many other things that I would not recommend, like murder. But that is neither here nor there. How you doing, man?
Things are a bit off this week. This isn't our regular. I don't know. I guess this might be our regular scheduled programming.
Yeah, it's weird because we haven't podcasted since the last hashtag, and we skipped a podcast, and so it feels weird, but if you just join us for hashtag, it's actually not that strange. But yeah, we skipped it on topic of video games.
It's not like, I guess people hop in anyway, so I mean, they'll get the show when they get the show if they follow the RSS. They use the BeyondPods, the iTunes.
Yeah, the deal was that I had an incredibly sore mouth Tuesday. My brother had a birthday party Tuesday. Drewby had a thing with his family Tuesday, and it all just didn't line up. So we skipped our Tuesday podcast, but we're back here. We'll probably end up talking about video games because we actually have a lot of video game things to talk about this week. But we'll try to talk about some other stuff too, as we normally do on hashtag follow the conversation, where we just talk about everything else that's not video games going on in our lives that we feel like discussing.
But this will be kind of the hodgepodge of just the hot topics of the week, as far as what's going on or what we decided to talk about. And is anything could happen Thursday? Maybe that's a proper show and title for the show. Anything.
I mean, that's kind of how it always is. Like, we always do whatever we want to anyway.
Except
it's our podcast.
Except that anything can't happen normally, because we don't really talk about video games. So, like,
we usually end up talking about video games anyway, just not as much.
There you go. There you go. Have you been playing video games? Have you been watching TV? Have you been tweeting on a tweeter?
No, so the deal is that last week I mentioned I was getting my wisdom teeth removed. So that happened Friday, and then it wasn't until kind of last night when I was able to eat food with my teeth that was not soup and not have excruciating pain. So I'm starting to get back to normal a little bit, but while I was down, I was able to purchase Destiny, the game that we have not really talked about a lot on our show, but it kind of has been rippling in the video game industry. And I don't know whether it was the painkillers I was on or just the fact that I really like the game, but I really like the game. And I've been in it quite a bit. I was able to beat it within 2 days, and then have continued to play. Like, I wish I was playing it right now, but I'm podcasting, which is also fun, so I'll deal. But I really wasn't expecting to enjoy it. As someone that, we talk about stuff on topic of video games all the time, where shooters are just not my genre generally. The shooting feels so good in Destiny that even though the game has other problems, which have been mentioned on various other forums, like the story is pretty universally accepted as garbage, and like it's kind of dry. There's like this weird dry spell where you have to grind to get to the end game content and stuff. Like, it has problems, but at the same time, the underlying mechanics that are the game of Destiny, just like going around and shooting aliens, is really fun. And so I'm kind of just able to enjoy that for what it is. I think it helped that it got all of the press that it did, so my expectations were set correctly when I went into the game. I wasn't expecting it to be this crazy atmospheric story, even though the game is beautiful. Like, it looks so pretty, and the music does a good job of building tension and hype when the story doesn't necessarily. But I think that my expectations were set appropriately, and I very, very much have enjoyed Destiny. I really have been begging you to get it because I think it's the fun in the game will be increased exponentially when you have someone to play it with. I mean, it is a multiplayer focused deal, but it's so good. I really think you'll like it. I want to preface it for people that haven't got it. If you're on the fence, I don't know how many people that is. It's really good, tight shooting mechanics. Like it's like the I don't want to like give it too much praise or whatever, but the way that kind of Super Meat Boy is a tight platformer, and that's what makes it feel good. It's just a tight shooter. Like, as someone that generally only enjoys shooters from a distance, unless they bring something else to the table, I very much enjoy the shooting mechanics of Destiny. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say about it unless you have questions or whatever, but it's really fun, and I've been enjoying it a lot. Definitely much more than I thought I would. But it's super fun.
We've talked a lot about kind of this game off the show. How many hours do you think you put into it so far?
Probably between 15 and 20.
Okay. And you've beaten the... and you're kind of in the end game now. How's the end game going, I guess? I believe you have a goal.
I mean, the end game is basically just grinding content you've already done, or grinding patrol missions, which are basic like MMO fetch quests, or collect so many of these. And the options that you have at the end game are either to do the things that I'm doing that I just mentioned, or play multiplayer, which normally I don't like, but I actually played the other day and was starting to enjoy it. Or to run basically strikes, which are the Destiny version of like dungeons, on repeat. And I think that the dungeons are super fun, but with random matchmaking, it's really hard to get matched up with people that are worth playing with for the amount of time you may have to be stuck in those dungeons, which can, it can range anywhere from like a half hour to 2 hours, depending on whether you get a good group or not. And I was having a really hard time getting a good group, so I've been mainly running just the kind of more grindy content than the dungeons. And it's not great, but at the same time, you can kind of run through all of the, or at least most of the kind of daily grind missions in 45 minutes or so. So I don't have to sit there, and I could if I wanted to, but it's not as productive once you finish your daily mission things. So I mean, it's not like WoW where you kind of, I'm feeling like I had to grind to keep up with things. If I'm just doing those daily missions, jump in, jump out, it's like 45 minutes, so it's not a big deal. You don't get super bored with it when you're only jumping into those mechanics for 45 minutes, because it still feels really good to just pop off some headshots, pull some melees, pull out a shotgun, blow up some aliens. Like, the mechanics feel so good that even though I'm not necessarily doing new content, it's still fun. I do think that running the strikes is a much more interesting thing because it's actually challenging as opposed to just kind of loop, rinse, repeat stuff. So I think I'll prefer it if I had someone to play the strikes with, but I'm not hating the game where it is. I just kind of want to. The goal is to get the gear that's better so you can get into the raid eventually, which I think is kind of the universally accepted best part of that game, is at the very end once you've got enough gear to get to it. And that's where they actually bring in more mechanics than just the shooting, which I think is really good. And I think that if they had chosen not to do a raid, it would still be a good game if they had just added more content instead of the raid that was just more story missions. But I'm glad that at some point in this game there is more mechanics, because I think that just makes it even better value. But I got to work to get there, which as an MMO typically does requires some grinding and a little bit of. What I'm doing is basically grinding reputation. If you've played an MMO, I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of grinding reputation. But that's what I'm doing now.
Okay. You're a lot.
I'm having a little bit of Google Hangout issues. So what was that question again?
The weapons that you're using, the assault rifle, the sniper. I believe you're using, like, I think you told me you're using the sniper rifle. I think is that kind of your main weapon? You're using the assault rifle. What do you find using most? What's your favorite weapon?
So I basically never touched any primary weapon except for the auto rifle and the I don't know if it's called assault rifle, but the pulse rifle, the auto rifle, or the pulse rifle. The pulse rifle is the battle rifle from Halo with the 3-shot bursts, or the M16, I guess. The auto rifle is just a full auto machine gun. The sidearms that I use are the shotgun and the sniper, and you can only have one equipped at a time, but depending on what I'm kind of going against at the time, I'll just switch between them. Like if I'm doing more grindy stuff, I'll just put the shotgun on, because you don't have to get, it's not a problem to get up close and stuff, but when I'm fighting higher level enemies and I want to get some high damage headshots, I'll switch to the sniper rifle. And I think all the weapons feel really good. The shotgun is very powerful. The sniper rifles in most games, but this one also super powerful. They have it's weird because the game is rated teen, but they do have exploding headshots. I mean, it's not gory or anything, but like their head smokes. I mean, I guess it's more robotic than fleshy, so maybe that's how they can get away with it. But feels good. The melee feels good. The battle rifle from Halo, since it's Bungie, obviously feels good, because I think that gun has existed in those games for as long as it has for a reason. It's a really good weapon. I switch weapons a little bit because it's stat based a little bit, but it's not like Borderlands where you have to switch all the time. I generally stick with like the pulse rifle and the shotgun or sniper. I guess the other rocket launcher too.
Pictures online about some of the gear I've seen pictures of gear where it looks like a Crusades era breastplate with kind of like it's white and then with a kind of gold lining and then like a gold. Have you seen pictures of that, and have you seen any of that stuff in the game?
I have seen other people. So I'm guessing what you're talking about is there's gear called exotic gear, which is basically the rarest tier. You can only wear one piece at a time. I guess that's how they balance that out. I have not seen a ton of exotic gear. Every once in a while you'll see people walking by and they'll just look way more awesome than you do. But I'm not familiar. I have not done a lot of research as to what the exotic gear is. Partly because I don't have any. I'm not good enough to. I guess there's no level requirement for wearing gear once you have hit the max of like regular cap. So like the way the game's leveling works is you get to level 20 through experience, and then you basically have gear with a stat called light on it, and if you're wearing so much light, you'll level up higher, up to 30. There's no level requirement on gear above 20, but I have not done the content that's hard enough to get epic or exotic loot. So I haven't seen a ton of that stuff. I don't know what all exists. I know that the exotic gear usually has like special crazy buffs on it. Like I was talking to someone at work that plays the game on the Xbox One, and he has an exotic sniper rifle that you don't need to pick up ammo for. It will just regenerate ammo over time, so he can just pull it out, snipe some guys, put it back in his backpack, and then use his regular gun, and it'll just recharge itself. Which for the single player or like the campaign stuff, that's not a huge deal because you get ammo a lot. But the thing that it's nice is in the Crucible, which is the multiplayer, like competitive multiplayer modes, your ammo persists through death. So if you die and you don't have any shotgun or sniper rounds, they share a secondary ammo slot. You have to pick up more, which it's not super rare, but you have to actually go pick it up. Whereas with that gun, it just auto charges ammo all the time, so he doesn't always have to be kind of watching his secondary fire ammo. Your primary fire ammo is basically everywhere in the game, so you'll not run out of ammo in your primary weapon when you're playing multiplayer. But that's kind of how that mechanic works.
All right. We've talked a faction. You ended up joining a faction, and now and then you wanted, that's what you wanted to get your gear from, and then you ended up finding out that it was easier or better to get gear a different way.
Yeah, so the end game stuff is not really explained. I think that actually is a problem in the game, where once you hit level cap, you want to hit higher levels by getting light on your gear, and that's a pop-up that pops up in the game that tells you that. But what happens is it doesn't really tell you how to get that. The ways to get that are running strikes on harder modes or just grinding loot in the wild, which is where the popular internet thing of the loot cave came up, which is just a place where there was high spawn counts on enemies, so you could kill them in large groups and get better gear, because there's a random percentage that they'll drop good gear. Or then you could do what I'm doing, which is build reputation on stuff, and the reputation that you build per vendor. So you can build reputation for the Vanguard vendor, which is basically PvE gear, or the Crucible vendor, which is the PvP gear, even though I don't think there's really that much of a difference between the two. Or you could join a faction, which when you join a faction, your reputation goes to either, like, both your PvE and PvP daily quests will add to the reputation of the faction instead of either of or. So technically you can get reputation faster for a faction because you're getting both the PvE and the PvP stuff. The problem is that you can't get armor, which levels you up, from the faction vendor until your reputation level 3, which takes a lot longer than getting your PvE vendor reputation up to level 2, where you can buy the stuff. So it's this weird situation where if you want a gun, it's better to right away. It's better to level up faction. But if you want armor faster, it's faster to just level up Vanguard straight. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm decided to do. So it's weird. It's not really explained that well. I think that's a problem. But I think I've kind of got it figured out now. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Just to give people kind of an idea, if you're watching the YouTube, you can kind of see this. This is one of the helmets that you can get.
That's the Sam Fisher helmet?
It's I guess, Mask of the Third Man. It looks, and then this isn't the breastplate I was talking about or was thinking of, but I mean that's kind of cool. So there's some kind of cool looking pieces of gear.
No, people look pretty sweet sometimes when they're walking around. It's pretty sci-fi. Like, think Mass Effect characters, like cool Mass Effect character armor or something. That's kind of what people look like.
Mm. In the future, you're enjoying it. How long do you think it's going to take you to get to the end where you want to be?
It's hard to tell. I mean, to get to all the way to level 30, you actually need at least some portions of endgame raid gear from like the raid. But just to get at least the regular, purple armor, that's an easy goal that I don't have to even get on a raid team to do. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how long I stay interested. I'm interested a lot right now. I think the combat's super fun. I think you should get the game whenever that is financially feasible for you.
All right.
But yeah, that's I've been playing mostly Destiny. That's enough, Destiny talk from me. You've been playing a new video game. Let's hear what that was.
Yes, I am borrowing Shadow. Playing that. I believe I am close to, if not eight, on the story. Um, we've talked. You've talked about the game on the podcast before. It's a fun game. It is a good game. There are some elements in there. The combat is fun. The story is not super good, but there are some things I enjoying about it. Um, there's the kind of the Lord of the Rings side of it, and the kind of that lore is kind of entertaining, fun, and that. Um, Kind of surprised me a little bit was the fact that it was the mounts. You can ride these. I guess I don't know if you call them wargs because that's not what they're called. They're like I forget what they're called in the game, but they're like these cat-like monsters that you can ride around, and these things can like scale. I was a little surprised that that was something that you could do in the game, but that I found kind of like a rancor thing in the world that you can see sometimes. I've come close to one in one of the story missions. The movesets are just execution stuff is brutal. There was just one thing that I was able to do, and it wasn't like a scripted because like if I'm playing on the PS4, so if like I press the triangle, and it's kind of just it'll do like the scripted execution. Because there's one time when I was just running and I just pressed like the square button and then I pressed the triangle and like blocked something and then like I did like one more swing or something. Mashing takedown. It was kind of cool. The
Before you
shooting.
go too much further, I'm not sure if we're having call quality issues or if you're having mic issues. Do you want to unplug and replug your mic in or something real quick? Because like you are cutting out a lot. So he's unplugging his mic. He's gonna plug it back in. I don't know if it's a call quality issue. I think the YouTube probably won't notice, but the podcast version, you'll notice that he's cutting out a lot. I think he's plugging everything back in right now.
You have to. I plugged it in, but I was still muted. Is that any better?
We'll see. Just good talk.
Okay. The shooting, kind of the bow and arrow stuff is fun. The game just feels good. Like it plays well, and the environment is kind of one of the things that I was unsure about. A lot of the open world games, if not all of the open world, been based in like Modern Civilization or something. Shadow of Mordor just takes place in like ruins and kind of like either a castle or like random like kind of maybe a broken down fort or something like that, or like there's doing construction on the Black Gate. It's so that's kind of what I was. It doesn't necessarily bother me as much. I guess it's supposed to be accurate because it's not like Mordor is known for its beautiful cities. It's roaming landscapes. It is more green in the video game than I guess the movie depicted it as. But no, the game I'm playing it and the game is fun. His dagger thing is kind of like a broken off sword. That's kind of mentioned that. So, I found out. I mentioned to you today at work. I found out who the elf is. That's actually kind of interesting. Story-wise,
It's a weird plot thing to have in a prequel. Like, you don't know how much they can do with it because there's lore after that. Like, it's really weird. I think.
Would you maybe a little make it relevant to the story that everyone knows? I guess if you've watched the movies or either the first three or the Hobbit ones.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
the thing is, like Destiny, it has really good mechanics outside of the story. So even though the story is kind of not that good, It's still super fun and worth playing.
It's I'm playing that. I got into the Evolve Alpha. I've download that is downloaded on my PC. That unlocks tomorrow, I believe. So maybe I'll get a chance to play that tomorrow or this weekend. I guess it'd be good if you could get in too, because then we could kind of maybe try matchmaking in that thing. You
I
entered.
cannot get in. I was unable to sign up for the beta.
Oh, you
I
never
was
signed
unable
up?
to.
Ah, all right.
No, I tried multiple times the day that you mentioned it, and the server I think was busted at that point.
Okay. Well, all right. I'll just go. Well, I'll hopefully I'll get a chance to play some of that this weekend. Been playing this mobile game. I won't talk too much about it. Called Royal Revolt. It's kind of like a reverse tower defense game. I believe it was recommended by the Bombcast guys. I've played it before. They mentioned it, and I kind of picked it up again. To kind of divert from the video game scene. Today I watched the episode of Marvel Agents of Shield, and I know that you thought that show was crap last season, and so did I. And I tried to force myself to watch it, and I stopped. I didn't like it. This episode and this season so far has been good. This episode is probably the best episode of the season. It was like stuff is happening, the plot is moving, like stuff isn't exactly going super well for these guys. Checked out Marvel Agents of Shield. Season 2, if you try to give season 1 a shot, and to couldn't stand, I would recommend season 2. I think it's better. Give it a shot. Still following Arrow and Flash. The acting in Arrow is kind of bothering me. Like, not to the point more so than it was. I don't like it. I don't know. Like, the story is cool, and they just in this last episode, which and that part wasn't necessarily bad because at this point they can invest in decent actors for their stuff, but maybe when they did the pilot and were casting for it, they may not have had the budget that they have now, so they kind of came out with some of these lesser actors. And it's not necessarily referring to Oliver Queen, he's Stephen Amell, but like Katie Cassidy, who plays Laurel, is like, ugh. If you haven't watched The Flash, what is wrong with you? Watch The Flash. It's good. It's good. Michael, what's wrong with you?
Sad things. I'm staying up on my TV shows, which are basically The Goldbergs, and I think I'm caught up on Last Man Standing. I don't think I watch TV shows that are not comedy. I finished I'm caught up now on Parks and Recreation. There's a 7th season that's coming that's going to be the final season, but I've actually watched all of the rest of Parks and Recreation now. I like that show. It's funny. Watch some Jimmy Fallon. All my shows are comedy, so I almost watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then I said, screw that, I don't want to watch this right now, and then didn't.
All right. You and your elite tastes might not have...
The only reason I was going to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was because I wanted to see Kyle MacLachlan. It had nothing to do with the actual show.
Yeah, he was in... he wasn't in this week's episode, but he was in last week's episode. Kind of... He's not... They're doing stuff with that character. So, like, if you want to see Kyle MacLachlan, then he's not just like this little dude who just kind of pops up. Like, he's got one scene here, and then you don't see him for forever. At least 2 episodes out of the 6 that they've done. So, he's a major character.
The uninitiated, that is Dale Cooper from Twin Peaks.
People won't. I don't know if our audience is going to know who Dale Cooper is unless they took up your recommendation.
Our audience knows me personally, so they are likely to at least know a little bit about Twin Peaks from osmosis from me. So, worth mentioning.
Through osmosis. Did you see the Avengers movie clip that was released? That
I
was
did not.
released. They released a small clip of the movie this week, and it's then right after that that movie clip, it kind of starts to turn into a trailer. But there's this clip. Um, if you haven't seen it, I'd I'd recommend it. It's not really spoilery or anything like that, more than the trailer itself was. It's just more kind of a funny scene between the Avengers. Um, basically, um, Tony Stark is basically like, if I says to Thor, if I can pick up your hammer, can I rule Asgard? And Thor's like, sure. So like Tony Stark tries to lift it, and it basically kind of spawns off this competition among the Avengers, and they're all trying to move the hammer. Um, there's one scene where you've got Tony Stark with his Iron Man glove, and then you've got his partner, what is his name? Iron Patriot.
Yep.
I can't remember his like real person name or whatever. His
Rhodes.
Rhodey, yes. James Rhodes or Rhodey. They're both trying to lift it together. See, they tried to get Black Widow to lift it, and she's basically like, "That's not a question that I need answered." And then Captain America goes for it, and he starts picking it up, and then it moves a little bit, and then like you see like Thor's face just kind of like go like serious for a second, like, "Oh crap!" But then he ends up. It was a fun scene, a little fun scene. So that movie is coming out in May 2015. So less than a year. Are you excited? Are you interested? Do you care?
I mean, I watched all the Marvel movies. I think that they're hit or no, they're all good movies. Some of them are great. So yeah, I mean, I'll watch them. I like Guardians of the Galaxy a lot. I liked Captain America 2 a lot. That's all this year, right? There's
Yeah,
nothing else this year?
Those are both this year. Last year we got.
But was that? I saw Thor 2. That was all right. I saw
Iron Man 3
last year though.
Iron Man 3.
Yeah, and we've talked about Iron Man 3 extensively on the show. No, we didn't really like it, but actually, I guess Iron Man has not been that great since the first one.
Yeah, because Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3. I didn't like Iron Man 3. I didn't mind Iron Man 2 that much. Thor 1, you liked. So yeah, I guess predominantly.
I like both Thors.
Okay. Predominantly, those movies have been. Did you like the first Captain America? Do you appreciate it more now than you did?
I don't love the first. I think it's worth watching. I don't think it's that good of a movie, but I don't think it's the worst movie you could be watching if you're choosing to watch a movie. So, I think that pretty much all of them are good. Whereas, like, you've got the Avengers. The Avengers is really good. Guardians of the Galaxy is really good. Captain America's 2 is really good. I think those are really good movies. Iron Man 1 is really good. But the rest of them are just good.
All right. So, I'll watch this movie clip. Marvel announced it's kind of its phase, the rest of its movies, and phase, including some of the Phase 3 movies. After Age of Ultron, we're going to get Ant-Man that year, and I believe Ant-Man will mark the end. Is it? That will mark the end of Phase... Yes, I believe Ant-Man will mark the end of Phase 2 of the Marvel movies, and then they'll open up the Phase 3. The following... Civil...
What, Drewby Skyped out during that. What he said was, the next Captain America movie is called Captain America War, which we've talked about on this podcast before.
You didn't think that was going to be actual movie, or you didn't know that they would be smart in doing that?
I said it would be good. I said I don't know if it's something they can do. Obviously, they're announcing that they're going to try to do it. I don't know how much they'll stay true to the comics, but it's interesting to see. I don't think they've made, like I said, I don't think they've made terrible movies yet. So I don't think they're gonna like screw it up or anything. But I do think that especially the Civil War could be a very controversial comic movie, as it's a lot more serious and dark than the stuff that they've done in the past, I think.
Mm. Building on top of that, we're gonna
Also
be
worth noting, Civil War is where Steve Rogers dies right after that.
Yes.
Like right after that.
So maybe they'll do that in Captain America 3. We'll see. We're also under the announcements. We're going to be getting a Black Panther movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then they announced the final 2 Avengers films, at least the next one, Avengers: Infinity War, Part 1 and Part 2. And those will be movies that come out. Part 1 will come out 2018. Part 2 will come out 2019. All right. Some people, I guess, have been kind of criticizing whether or not we're getting too many of these movies, or that maybe more like they're just. I guess maybe we're getting too many of these. Like they're just going nuts with these. Do you think that it's a little crazy and that they need to slow down a little bit? Or are you okay with 2 Marvel movies a year and just kind of like universe that they're developing?
If the movies are good, I kind of don't care how often they're coming out. More weird, I think, is the fact that they're advertising movies that aren't coming out till 2019. That's really, like, it's 2014 right now, and I just think it's really weird because, like, you try to build this hype train and you try to keep the hype train going and kind of keep it so when you get to the movie, everybody goes and sees it. And I do think that people are excited to see a lot of, these Avengers 2, Avengers 3. The weird thing is, though, by the time 2019 comes out, it just seems like it's a really long time to wait on something. And I mean, there's movies always coming out in the meantime, so it's not like there's going to be nothing in the meantime. And maybe they'll build it up so it's like super, super important, and you'll be super excited. It just seems super weird. Like, I don't know of any other thing that on purpose announces that far in advance, as far as like movies or nerd games or whatever go. Like that just seems really, really far in the future for something like that. But I mean, if their movies are good, I don't care if they drop 2 a year. They're not the same exact people working on them.
I don't know if that they've done like this, like as far as announcing all of their stuff this far ahead. I don't know. I mean, even with Captain America 2 and Guardians, like we really kind of found out about maybe 2 years ahead of time, maybe 2.5 years. I mean, this is it's 2014 now. We're movies 5 years in the future, and they're kind of lining it out. DC lined out their stuff earlier. Maybe a little unprecedented. These and maybe it's just the universes are right now. How well. This is all on one movie I did forget about. Marvel, Captain Marvel. They're doing a Captain Marvel movie as well, which will be, I think, the first Marvel movie to do a female protagonist.
Unless you count like Electro's Marvel, right? The first good new Marvel movie to do a female protagonist, yeah, which I think could be potentially interesting with my, slowly building social justice warrior self.
Okay. So, something that's going on. I guess we can kind of move on out of the Marvel universe. Yeah. Interstellar's coming out soon.
Nice to meet you, where you been? I could show you incredible.
That's the Taylor Swift album. It's really good. I was actually going to play something else. I actually closed my normal music window because I was trying to save bandwidth because you're still being super weird. I'm sure it's my internet actually at this point, but what I was going to play was the Drewby album that has come out, Rise, this week. It's also really, really good.
Here we go. Yeah.
I'm going to skip ahead in the song to where he's actually probably rapping.
Back on the left, I'm hate, listen up right. You ain't gotta ask me twice, I'm here. The brag on him like I'm known for. While folks know, I'ma go for it. My God ain't no folklore, cause he real.
It's been a little bit of time since Drewby has dropped an album. 2 years since The Good Life. He temporarily retired, but he's back. And I think that album's really good for it.
I haven't listened.
especially the songs near the end of the album. Early, you haven't listened to it at all.
I haven't listened to right. No, I haven't listened to his new album yet. So perhaps maybe I'll get on it tomorrow.
I have a personal goal to listen to at least one album every week during a year and kind of try to keep track of them. I'm really weird. I keep spreadsheets of the stuff that I listen to, mostly for our end of the year stuff, but also just for personal fun. And I finally caught up to it's like week 44 or whatever. I've now listened to 44 albums this year, or actually I'm ahead, but this week's I listened to the Drewby album and the Taylor Swift album, and they're both really good, and I would recommend both of them. Like I said, the end of this Drewby album, the songs near the end I think are really good, starting with Something New. It's a really kind of personal story song, and then it just builds up. If you're a fan of Drewby, especially if you're a fan of 116, this is a great album to listen to.
Say Say yeah.
Yeah.
Say boss.
Right.
There you go.
He has his kid sampled on a song called "Beautiful Life 2, Mine." It's really good. Like he's talking about his family. It's really really sweet, nice. I don't know. I like the things that Reach Records are doing. Andy Mineo, Drewby, Lecrae. Lecrae dropped a really good album earlier this year. We've talked about it, Anomaly. It's a good year for Christian hip hop, if that's what you're into.
KJ dropped an album.
KJ52. I actually haven't heard the KJ52 album yet. I don't know if it's on Spotify yet, but do you say you listen to it?
I haven't really. I listened to like part of a song. At least the part that we listened to. It sounded different, kind of more modern, and kind of, and as far as what Christian hip hop is kind of doing these days. So perhaps that's what it is, and I might have before.
Like a beast, someone let me out. I'm feeling like I'm free, someone let me out.
This is Game Face by KJ52. That album is now on Spotify, so I'll have to listen to that one now. That's fun. I like albums to listen to. I should close my door. I don't know if you can hear this stuff. My wife's making a bunch of noise.
Face. The name of that album is Mental.
Boom.
Is that probably got nine songs on it?
Yeah, it looks like only 9. Seems really low, but I don't know.
Best of K. The lot. Also another album. I guess he dropped the best of this year.
Yeah, I don't count that as dropping an album a lot of times because usually the artist isn't even involved with that. It's just the record label trying to make some money on songs that are already out. So, but yeah, there was a best of this year.
Last album to come out, I guess that you might consider years ago. That's not too terrible.
Yeah, he made some news this year. He broke the Guinness World Record for like longest freestyle. Like he was freestyle rapping for like over 24 hours. It was kind of crazy. Like I kind of had forgotten about him, and then he broke that record. It was weird, kind of awesome though. It wasn't bad. I watched pieces of it, skipped through it.
Crazy. 24 hours of
Yeah, he had like people coming in and like giving him cards. Like I think he had people tweeting with a hashtag so he would have something to rap about. But there's just a beat going the whole time. They kept mixing it up, changing the song so it was a little different, so it doesn't get too stale. But just skipping around in the video, it didn't seem like it was getting. It stayed fresh. It didn't seem like it was getting too stagnant or anything. But yeah, like I kind of had forgotten about him. Oh dang it! Did I mention that Boyz II Men had a new album? Was that this week or last week? I listened to it this week. That was really fun. I added some of those to my Spotify playlist that I like to pitch on the show. You can check it out, 2014 Faves. That's where it's public playlist where you can hear all the stuff that I think is really cool. Here we got.
I know you love me, girl. Hey, girl, I know you wanna stay, but it won't be long till it's Judgment Day. No.
I just got handed a smoothie while I was listening to that song.
To correct you, let's see here. This is an article on CCM. He's broken the mold from day one, and now KH852 is breaking records. He and a team of fellow rappers recently freestyle held at Crossover Church, the longest team freestyle held at Crossover Church in Tampa, Florida. Gerald Johnson, Isaac Knox, Air Jordan, Golden Child, and the originator or himself, KJ52, went an astonishing 13 hours straight.
13 hours, and it was a crew.
Yes. So 13. I don't know if it was just like he did 13 hours and the crew themselves went longer, or the whole crew went 13 hours. But it was,
my guess is the whole crew went 13 hours.
Okay.
That's still ridiculous in my brain. That's a long time to be rapping.
An hour, it's like just a freestyle rap.
That was like 6 different people, right? So they're each rapping for over 2 hours. If you break it up evenly. I'm sure they, if they wanted to keep it super fresh, they probably did, like an hour, and then subbed out, and then did another hour later. But still, it's kind of ridiculous. I can't freestyle rap for 30 seconds.
Because 55 minutes later into a freestyle rap, it's still fresh.
Your mom's fresh.
What is... Okay.
This smoothie's fresh. Fresh to death.
What does that mean?
You never heard someone say fresh to death? It's the thing that was evidently popular to say in the 80s.
You're not from the 80s.
I was almost in the 80s. I was born 1 year after Taylor Swift's 1989.
Alright.
I cannot tell if you're just... Okay, so here's the thing. You stutter when you talk, and you're Skyping out, and sometimes you take longer to respond than I normally think. So I start freaking out anytime there's any dead space, because I don't know whether you're stuttering or glitching out or just not talking. It's like, really, this is the weirdest podcast.
Some internet issue somewhere. Oh! PS4 2.0 firmware is out. Have you updated your PS4 yet?
Yeah, because to play Destiny, I had to.
Yeah.
I didn't notice anything different without trying, so by default, it looked the same.
Have you added themes, or have you added a theme yet to your... There's a Destiny theme that you can get.
No,
for free.
I didn't actually... I should. I didn't actually touch anything on it. It just stayed looking the same that it did. But I like the idea of themes, because I think that it's cooler than that stupid blue background.
The update is messing up people's PS4s, including mine. When you put your PS4 into rest, I cannot get it out of rest without just straight up unplugging it from the back and then booting it fresh.
That's kind of funny and sad. I actually put mine into rest last time I played Destiny, and I haven't actually tried to play Destiny since. So maybe it does the same thing for me too.
Maybe. I tried it again, and it did it again. So what I is just
I think what Drew was saying is he had to turn off his PlayStation 4 and then turn it back on. He was just doing a bunch of Google Hangout-y Skype-ness.
Okay.
Yeah, you were just... Basically, the entire time you were talking there, you cut out. Oh, yeah, Xbox announced they were doing a price drop.
This is a little good
$50, which means that with the amount of savings that I've kind of saved up, it's now in the realm of when that price drop happens, I should be able to pick it up either right away or shortly after. So I will be talking about the Xbox One and that experience coming up. I'm going to get the Sunset Overdrive bundle because I think that game looks kind of stupid.
Have you considered just going with Call of Duty and just getting that terabyte hard drive, even though it comes with a game that you really don't care about. If you get that console, you'll get a larger hard drive.
I am not in a situation where I'm going to need more than 500 gig at one time. I'm sure at some point I will have to uninstall games, but it's not probably going to be at the point where, like, oh, I really don't want to install that game because I'm going to go back and play that save. Like, that probably won't happen. So if I get to the point where my hard drive is filled, I'll probably just delete some game that I'll never play again.
You're not concerned about losing your save on the game?
I'm not concerned when I lose my save on certain Steam games because I don't have enough storage on my computer for all my Steam games either. If it's a game that I know I don't care about, or a game with a story that is not have a lot of replay value, I don't care about deleting my save and just starting over. It doesn't really bother me.
Do you use cloud saving on Steam? Is that something that you use?
I kind of have this weird hate against Steam cloud saving because that's what screwed up my playthrough of XCOM. So I'm sure that it's a fine thing when it works and everything, but that's what screwed up my playthrough of one of my favorite games, or my favorite game of 2012, I think it was. And so I don't use that on purpose anymore.
All right.
You cut out. What'd you ask?
I didn't ask anything.
Oh, I couldn't hear what you were saying. I assumed you asked a question because you spoke and then just looked at the camera. This is getting super weird. I haven't got to work on any of my album. I was working on an album I may have mentioned in the last podcast. I haven't worked on music at all. I've been on drugs, which is a perfect time to work on music if you're anything like Ed Sheeran or Snoop Dogg or many artists. But I want to like music.
I wasn't looking at the camera.
Okay. Good for you. The audio version of the podcast assumed you were because I said so I guess that I deceived them unintentionally. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? We're about an hour.
I don't know if I can talk about anything else. This is just going to keep ruining all of our conversations. Or some of them.
Yeah, it's kind of a hamper in this podcast deal. It's kind of annoying because we've never really you've cut out for like a second or whatever before, but it's not a persistent issue where it seems to be happening a lot right now. I don't know if it's our internet connection or the call. You could drop out of the call and come back real quick.
All right, let's try it.
All right, bye. Drewby's not going to drop out of the call. Then I'm going to go solo. This is the part where I talk about all the things about Drewby that he doesn't like to hear. So Drewby is 6'7". He's a male. He likes females. He's currently single. He's looking for someone that is strong and intelligent and can kind of carry him through life's trouble. Hey, Drewby, how's it going? I don't think it worked because I saw your mouth moving. I did not hear what you were saying. What did you say?
I said it sounded. And then like.
I think we're gonna have to end this podcast for like technical reasons because we're barely getting any of your audio now. It's even worse than it was before. Try to switch your microphone to your crappy microphone just in case it's that one. We'll see if that's the problem. He's switching his microphone to his webcam or whatever.
How's that?
It sounds like garbage. You're not cutting out. It's not too bad, I guess.
Well, this is
It's better than nothing.
I guess the fact that you can hear me, I guess, speaks to that.
It's really not as bad as I would think. Maybe, if anything, it's probably not the mic. It's probably just the USB cable you're using.
It could be. It could be the port. So maybe it's not the internet then.
You haven't cut out since you switched over, and you were cutting out a crap ton when you had switched your mic or unplugged your mic or whatever.
I'm not sure. We were having some problems with
For
my
those-
mic before. Maybe I have to reset my computer or something. Yes.
Yeah, I'm guessing it's the mic. It just seems like it just is being bad. Do you have another USB cable we can try for next week or whatever?
No, I don't think so. But maybe I'll order one. Oh,
Yeah, it's probably like $10. Speaking of $10, you should buy Destiny.
Speaking of only $10 because the game is only $10.
It's $48 on Amazon, so save $10. It's on a 38. Sounded better already. How do you like me now?
You know what I did buy though? Bought a Batman movie.
You bought some crazy anime Batman movie?
It's Batman: The Dark Knight Returns. It's not just any Batman movie. I've heard good things about this movie from not just like my brother. Like this. He's like this is like his favorite Batman movie. And then I've talked to another gentleman that we know, Mac Jr., and he liked this movie as well. It's a good movie. It's supposed to be this comic is supposed to be the inspiration for the Batman of the new Zack Snyder films.
You're the meaning in life. You're the inspiration. I would like to just remind the podcast, if they had not picked up, that I am on pain medication. So anything that I say and do cannot be used against me in a court of law because I'm on pain meds.
All right.
So the law works.
Lords of the Fallen. Have you looked at that game at all?
Kind of. I heard about it. I thought it sounded interesting.
It was
Considering I want to buy an...
It was described as a Dark Souls clone, I guess.
Like a baby Dark Souls.
Inspired by Dark
Which
Souls.
which is what made me interested in it. It's getting middling mixed reviews. The main reason I haven't paid a ton of attention to it is because I'd like to get the Xbox One, so I don't have it. That's where I'm going to be spending my money right now. But if it goes cheaper and it ends up looking like something I may like, I haven't seen any gameplay of it. That could be potentially interesting. I was going to bring something up, and I don't remember what it was.
I'm forgetting something. What is it?
Let's see, we talked about games, we talked about music, we talked about movies. I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to remember it as soon as the podcast is over. This is a weird podcast. It's weird because we're talking about games. It's weird because your audio was being weird at first.
Anything can happen Thursday.
It is, indeed. Man, what was I going to talk about?
Do you need something to get off your chest? You need to share with the audience.
My name is Michael Nip, and I'm straight. I'm coming out of the closet.
You're also a up-and-coming drug addict.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I enjoy the way that I'm on painkillers. Mainly because my mouth hurts a lot when I'm not on painkillers.
How long is that supposed to
Man.
last?
This podcast is taking such a dive. I cannot remember what I was going to talk about. I had
Maybe
like this thing that I was going to bring up that we were going to talk about it. Oh, I was going to talk about listening to podcasts, I think, which is weird because that's me not remembering that I wanted to talk about podcasts is making this podcast garbage. No, I've been listening to like music podcasts, weird music podcasts. I've been listening to Coverville. I've been listening to this like Brooklyn music podcast where they play cool stuff that got me to add one song to my 2014 playlist so far. I don't know why I don't listen to more music podcasts because obviously I love music. I talk about music not even as much as I'd like to. Excuse me. But yeah, I listened to Coverville this week. How often does that podcast come out? It's a podcast just of covers.
I think it comes out twice a week.
Okay, so now I probably have another one to listen to soon. I don't know. I am so scatterbrained. This is why you don't record podcasts when you shouldn't record podcasts, like when you're on drugs. I don't know. We gotta start wrapping this up.
You didn't pay attention to the World Series, did you? That was the kind of a big thing that happened.
We don't talk about sports on here. We've talked about this before. Our target audience is nerds. They don't even know that sports are, like, they're, oh no, they're playing sports ball. That guy scored a touchdown, hit a home run. No, I didn't watch the World Series, but I heard that the Giants won.
It was
Made me a little sad.
yeah. I was hoping Kansas I wanted Kansas to win. And they did. Oh, all right.
It's 10:30. Do you know where your Drewby is?
Where's my Drewby?
Yeah, definitely had to be your microphone because you've been completely fine since you switched over.
That's not really a good thing. It's
Probably the cord. It seriously is probably the cord.
Well, just check it out. Just looking.
Drewby, how can people find you on the internet so we can just get out of this podcast hole we've dug?
Twitter.com/Drewby132, Facebook.com/Drewby132. From my Twitter profile, you can From my Twitter profile, you can click my Google Plus link in my profile and follow me there as well. How can people find you?
People can find me at twitter.com/MichaelNipp, MichaelKnipp, or Facebook.com/TheRealMichaelNipp. If you want to email us here at the Culture My People, ask us questions, comments, tell us how this show was weird. That is theculturemypeople@gmail.com. Or you can follow Culture of My Peep on Twitter to get updates anytime anything is posted on theculturemypeople.com, the website about video game and nerd culture, but not Gamergate, because screw those guys. Here we go, I said it.
You had to take it there? Did you? You had to?
I had to.
All right.
What are we going to do? I was not going to talk about Gamergate, but then I got high. I was going to talk about Dr. Fate, but then I was high.
Doctor Strange. That's a Marvel movie that we didn't talk about. Benedict
Cumberbatch. It's Doctor Strange.
Maybe. Hey! Because he got high. Because you got high. Because we all
I was high. Because I was high. Hashtag follow the conversation, episode 22. This has been me, Michael Nipp, and my co-host.
Drew.